we go find someone to fix your music box?
Yeah, I wonder who it is to fix music boxes.
Yeah, me too. What's wrong with it?
It never plays.
Okay, so should we go find someone to fix it?
Yep. I wonder how we fix music boxes.
Yeah, I have no idea.
What do you need?
I think I'll fix it. It's supposed to turn around, but it does. But this doesn't turn around,
Okay.
or the unicorn never turns around.
Oh, I get it. Okay, would you mind going to see my friend Rachel at the desk
absolutely.
and signing in, and we'll get you sorted in a few minutes.
Okay, ready?
Thank you.
We are at the Next Fab, where the Philly Fixers Guild, we host our repair fairs every second Thursday.
I've got like a little station over here that I can take
Okay.
you to. Okay.
Hey Lou, you ready?
Yes.
As part of our repair fairs, we welcome a variety of fixers who have a variety of skills, whether it's sewing textiles or mending or fixing mechanical issues or electronic issues, a range of possibilities. And guests come in and they often have questions about whether the thing can be repaired. And if it can be repaired, they meet with a fixer and the person tries to help them fix the thing and they work on it together.
Lula, are you interested in helping out with some of the process?
You just want to watch? Or do you want to do it? You want to watch, okay.
You want to watch? Okay. So I'm going to take these two screws here.
Ooh, a screwdriver.
Yeah?
For most of human history, repair wasn't a niche practice. It was simply how life worked. You got your shoes resoled at the corner cobbler, you took your radio to the neighborhood repair shop when it crackled, tailors fixed ripped seams, appliance shops replaced the belt in your washing machine instead of telling you needed to buy a new one. Even TVs, lamps, toasters, and vacuum cleaners had second and third lives because someone in your community knew how to keep them going.
Yeah, but over the last few decades, that culture of repair has been totally pushed to the margins. Products have become harder to open, harder to fix, and cheaper to replace. Skills that used to be common have faded, and the result is mountains of waste, missed opportunities to keep resources circulating locally, and a huge loss of connection to the things that we use every day. But this decline of repair isn't an accident. It's the result of design choices, business models, and policies that make products disposable. But communities across the country and across the world are pushing back, including right here in Philly.
Welcome to the Circle Up podcast, where we tell the stories of the circular economy in Philadelphia.
Well, so let's circle up. I'm Candice Lawton, Executive Director of Circular Philadelphia.
And I'm Sam Wittchen, one of the co-founders of Circular Philadelphia. Today on the Circle Up podcast, we're talking about what it means to bring repair back. Not as nostalgia, but as a powerful strategy for a modern circular economy, one that keeps materials in use, builds local jobs, strengthens communities, and gives people real agency over the products they rely on.
And we'll also be exploring the state of repair today, the barriers, the bright spots, the emerging right to repair movement, and the incredible work happening here in Philly to rebuild a repair culture from the ground up. For generations, families passed down repair skills the same way they passed down recipes or stories. It may feel like a lot of that inherited knowledge around repair has slipped away, but it's not gone. You can still feel it in places like repair cafes, community workshops, and maker spaces. Places where people come together not just to fix a broken lamp, but to reconnect with a way of thinking that says, there's still value here. There's still life in this object, and there's power in learning how to bring it back.
We're starting the episode with Holly Logan, co-founder of the Philly Fixers Guild, a volunteer-driven group that's been keeping community repair alive in Philadelphia. The Guild creates spaces where people sit down together to troubleshoot everything from small electronics to household items, and in the process, learn the skills and confidence to repair things themselves. Holly brings the community perspective on repair, the belief that everyone can learn to fix what they own, and that repair is as much about connection and empowerment as it is about the object on the table.
My name is Holly Logan. I'm one of the founders of Philly Fixers Guild. Philly Fixers Guild is a loose organization of volunteers who come together for currently monthly repair fairs. Historically, they were only a few times a year, but now we have them every month with our great partner at NextFab because they're able to host us, and sporadically on in other spaces too throughout the community. So the organization, and I use that term loosely too because it's a group of people who volunteer their time to meet with our guests who bring in items that need to be repaired, and they work together to try to repair it. Sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. But the idea is that the fixer has this skill or talent or can-do-itiveness attitude sort of, and like are willing to sort of tinker and explore and work with the guests to try to figure out what that might look like. And that really depends on each of the items that are brought in. So sometimes the fixer has a professional skill, because if they've been doing it as a job for years, or they're educated in that space. Like, for example, mechanical engineering tends to come up a little bit, but not necessarily. Some people just have a natural inclination toward a particular type of repair. So variety of fixers have their skills, their talents, they're willing to share with guests and impart some wisdom on these repairs. 15 years ago now, Ben and I were on this small neighborhood advisory group that was housed within the New Kensington Community Development Corporation. It was called Sustainable 19125, the zip code that covers a lot of neighborhoods that we both live in. And trying to come up with different initiatives for our neighbors, and trying to educate neighbors and get conversations with neighbors about a variety of sustainability initiatives, maybe the stormwater management and tree plantings, and getting involved with other groups to try to get more knowledge spread out to other groups. So things also like oh my gosh, water conservation in general, like that's along the lines of stormwater management. Even down to the here's some LED light bulbs and why these are more valuable, and so going more door to door and I say valuable more economically, but also environmentally potentially, and so a lot of information sharing. So anyway, so we've been on that committee together, or advisory group, I guess, and sort of like green block captains, if you will, I guess is sort of the connotation that was shared a lot at the time. And then we saw different needs that evolved and different passions within the advisory committee where we wanted to emphasize more efforts. And so Ben and I peeled off a little bit, and also the advisory committee sort of I don't want to say dissolved, but it was it had wrapped up. It finished its time with the organization, with MKCDC and other focus areas. So Ben and I peeled off. Other people did find efforts with their own passions too, and initiatives. And so from there, we started to find opportunities to connect with different neighborhood partners. Our first repair fair, I remember, was at what was called the Philly Sculpture Gym in our neighborhood that you might remember, or some folks might remember. It was a great partnership with Darla Jackson, and just trying to test this out and see in the space and be very malleable and adapt. And so it was really a good first try. And then so from there, we worked with a variety of community partners in different spaces. Historically, we were thinking about mainly having them on weekends, and what partners could host us for free, no cost, and provide space and tables and all the things that we need, because we're not a brick and mortar organization. We kind of bring our tools and just show up with our skills and our knowledge, and maybe some snacks. That was working great for about 5 years, and then the pandemic hit. Fall of 2022, we had restarted the repair fairs, and we had NextFab in mind, because we thought with the amount of space in their facility, and there's already a built-in mechanism, there's built-in promotions that are happening via NextFab. What's great about being in NextFab for our second Thursdays repair fairs is we might not have the item to help them repair, but resource exchange is open, and so we can kind of refer folks to hop over there, especially if there's some quirky little part that might work for some other repair that's might fit in, and or going to Keystone Bikes, that's down the way too, that tends to be open as well at the same time as our repair fairs, or going back another day, particularly if it's a bike related thing, that can be really helpful. So right now our repair fairs on the second Thursdays tend to have about 10 fixers and about 20 guests per night on any given event. And the same I would say for our weekend events too. We try to have a 2-hour window of time wherever we are. At our events, the goal for fixers is for fixers and guests to sit together. We're not just a repair shop that there's no financial transaction. This is completely free. So the idea is for the fixer to involve the guest in the repair, one, to have that engagement, right? The peopling, right? And also the sharing of the knowledge from the fixer to the guest so that the guest is empowered.
I never would have been able to afford it.
No, other way.
Remember righty-tighty? We want to put the screws in, so we want to tighten them.
Yeah,
so you want to
spin it
twist to
this
the
way.
right.
It is the honor system when it comes to the fixers. There is no test. They sign up, they show up for the repair fairs because they get the email.
I've been tinkering around with like DIY repair stuff for a while. Like, I like working with my hands. I certainly like not having to like pay a bunch extra to replace things, and also just like on principle, I like being able to fix stuff rather than throw it away. And when I heard about this place and like getting to also like having a way to like connect with people and like help fix other people's stuff, that was something that was like really appealing and exciting to me.
So the idea is, to have that exchange, the fixer to share their knowledge, empowerment of the guest, and some interaction between humans is also really a meaningful part of it. And sometimes it's like the guests are really interested and have a lot of questions, and the fixer can answer them. Sometimes it's really they're exploring together and just sort of like figuring it out as they go along. They're looking up different vocabulary on the internet, just trying to figure out like, okay, well, we're trying to diagnose this together. Maybe the fixer has a different vocabulary that the guest didn't quite know what to search for that needed to be replaced or repaired, and that can be really helpful.
Actually, so it looks like what they're suggesting actually is that if this is like an overwound mechanism, spinning it in the opposite direction could help. So if I can grab that maybe with like a set of pliers.
Sometimes it's the fixer has a little bit more leaning towards taking a little bit of a risk of exploring the thing more, which is sometimes what the guest needs when they're bringing the thing in, so that they are hesitant to open something up and or get in there and maybe break it. And so that's sort of part of the interaction that they have. And so there's a lot of really good conversation. And sometimes it comes to a point where the guest is relying on the fixer to say, this is no longer economically reparable, and to have that sort of, I don't know if relief is the best word, but it's just having someone with some other level of knowledge to say it's okay to recycle this or dispose of this in some other way, or upcycle it perhaps. But yeah, for it to not be able to be fixed is like, to hear that, sometimes that's helpful. And then I think that it has the best impact for the guest to understand why it's so important to like attempt the repair in the first place too, and to not just, and I know that's one of the reasons people come to our events too, is they don't want to just throw things away. I think some people who come to the guests who bring their items to our events have some sense of like trying to preserve it and keep it out of the landfill initially if possible. Definitely, at every repair fair, sometimes there's a lull in between the repairs, or a fixer maybe was able to help with a guest more quickly than expected. And so they will join in with other fixers and just kind of observe and shadow and like offer advice or ask questions of the guests to try to get to the repair in a more efficient manner. Or just because they're curious, right? Because they want to learn more themselves too. But yeah, certainly, definitely our fixers will like lean over and ask questions or borrow tools. We have a lot of that across the different skill sets. So it is a very collaborative environment. It's a very fun space, I think, for a lot of our fixers to be around together, because a lot of similar interests, and just being in community with each other in that space is really cool too. we've had about 100 repair fairs in our 11 years. And each repair fair, we probably have about 20 guests. So each guest brings at least one item. Some guests bring several. Say we probably have had about 2,000 items that our fixers have laid hands on and tried to help diagnose or repair in some way. And growing, I guess, is the ongoing thing. Yeah. From what I've seen over the years, I would say things that were made, I don't know if a specific decade per se, but that there's definitely a trend anecdotally that when something is made a long time ago, it was probably made and intended to be repaired. So that's anything from, washing machines to kitchen appliances to stereo systems that we've seen come through. Those really solid, even record players, some folks have brought in these 1930s record players over the years, or fans, just desk fans from the 1950s, just these really solid equipment and machinery. And so it just seems those are built in such a way for the user, and or if there was a repair shop at the time, right, when the thing was manufactured, for it to be repaired. But that looks very different these days. But yes, older items tend to be built in a way that they're meant to be repaired. Yeah. Generally speaking, from what I've learned over the years being involved with Philly Fixers Guild, there is, particularly in our capitalist society, a planned obsolescence. Things are manufactured to not be repaired because generally companies want you to have to buy a new thing to replace it, so they make it fairly cheaply, and they make it so that it can't be repaired, so then it goes obsolete, and you have to buy a new thing to replace it. And so some of that is very real. Sometimes they make such unique proprietary shaped screws that are unique just to their product that it is nearly impossible, although the marketplace is finding ways to adapt and create new tools to help people fix their own stuff. But the unique screws that are in place sometimes are not able to be undone by regular individuals, I guess. Certainly there are a lot of great repair shops that are available that people can pay to take things still to. We do encourage that to happen, but for the most part, it seems like a lot of the stuff that is made today, maybe even the last 20 years, at least, is not meant to be repaired for the most part. There are some unique spaces where there are things, and sometimes those things tend to be a more hefty financial investment up front, so the limitations on who can access that is real too, because when things are meant to be economically repaired, those things tend to cost some more, but sometimes it's worth that lifelong investment if one can afford that. So there is definitely that accessibility conversation in items like that. But for the most part, yes, I think our capitalist society lends itself to that planned obsolescence, for things to be tossed in the landfill and bought a new thing to replace it. Throughout the years, I would say a common item that's brought to our repair fairs, lamps are some of the most common, and I would say that's throughout the year. But certainly then we have seasonal items like air conditioners we tend to see, and fans, and when it starts to get warm, and then when it starts to get cold, we start to see a lot of space heaters. So that's perennial throughout the year. I would say we know that that's happening. And then those are the most common, I would say. Otherwise, yeah, it's other generally home kitchen appliances. So mixers, countertop mixers are really common, which is great because it's those are sturdy and people want to put some time and love into them. Yeah, I would say generally, broadly speaking, the category of kitchen appliances tends to be the most common. Quite a variety. We've seen a lot of really interesting things over the years. Sometimes there are definitely trends of and I say this lovingly, like dumpster divers, people who are really curious and interested in different kinds of like art and or functional things. And because of that, the sort of wastefulness that can happen in our society, they can find some really interesting hidden gems in there. And so some of the things that they're bringing to us, they're working on together and maybe repairing it. And so sometimes that looks like lamps, certainly, and other practical things. Sometimes it looks like taxidermied cats, which is really strange. That was an odd one that will forever be indelible in my memory, because that is highly unusual. And I'm not saying that to encourage other people to bring that type of stuff. I'm saying some of the range of things that we've seen. So yeah, it's really always never a dull moment, a repair fair, I should say. So if folks can't make it to our repair fairs, we do have, people can certainly email our central email, and we have a couple of us answer those and try to offer some maybe YouTube links and things like that. But we also, I believe it's on our website, but definitely at our repair fairs, we have a whole list of alternative locations that people can bring things to get repaired. So maybe it's like a shoe repair, definitely the smartphone repair or tablet repair spaces. So a whole list of other locations that you can pay someone, a professional, to repair something, because when those places still exist, we want those to be supported. And maybe for more to grow. And then, so the online on our website, people can get the list in person and then email us definitely to try to get some recommendations on maybe where to go. Or, DM us on Instagram is fine too. But yeah, we definitely like to refer folks to other resources where possible. Those are the main places that I can think of. Yeah. Including also West Philly Tool Library, which I'd like to give a quick shout out, because they were early partners in different ways, and just like the sort of simpatico, like alignment of like the interest of people being able to borrow tools to do their own things is so empowering too. So like a library with books, they have a library of tools, and that people can become members for, I believe there are different scale of prices that you can become a member and check out tools and then return them. Because living in a city, we don't all have a lot of space. Like, suburban spaces might fill a garage, like we only have so much. And so it's also, so there's an idea of limiting that, and also, being in a different kind of community with other people where you're borrowing these tools, and there's accountability where you're maintaining them together. And so they have a staff of folks who do maintain the tools, keep things organized like any good library. So they, I forget where they've moved to out in West Philly. I believe it's sort of Southwest Philly-ish now. But people can also participate. They have a variety of great workshops, including they started to do, I think, their own repair fair events, which I hope that those get more successful, because we love the idea to spread to different communities, because we do focus a lot of our events in the River Wards 19125, 19134 spaces, because this is where we live. And so so the West Philly Tool Library is a great group of people doing great work, and we try to let people know that with limited space, like check those out. And we would love it if another tool library grows in the city, right? Because we're so big. Maybe in the River Ward someday, but yeah. We get invited to be in a lot of different spaces throughout the whole region. And so we love to help where we can, and also we love our community, and so we really emphasize our efforts here. But I do know that there are a variety of organizations and perhaps city officials that, if they're interested, we love to lend our knowledge that we've developed over the years and share with other community groups in potentially expanding this idea of what repair fairs can look like. There's an international movement essentially behind this called repair cafes. There's a lot of availability of like toolkits online for how to get an organization like this started. It may seem like very intimidating perhaps to get this sort of thing going, but I think we have learned so much, and we love to share it with other people. So if anyone is interested in learning how to start one of these in their own communities, we would love to have a conversation, whether it's a phone call or visit, whatever. We want to keep this growing. So, and if anyone from the city is listening, we're also happy to get that connected in more official ways if possible to help this grow, because it's a really meaningful part of sustainability. So.
I love that. So many of the sustainable businesses that I've spoken to are like, if you want to do this, I figured it out. Like, let me share my knowledge and you can copy it.
Yeah. It's how it works. Like the community building, it's like we share the knowledge that we've gained. That's how we started, right? And we like made our own missteps along the way and also figured out what works best for our group. And then, you know, sharing that with others is what we love to do. So, yeah.
Okay, should we try it? All right, let's close it. Let's lock it up. All right.
Oh,
Twist it, but not too far.
Most important part, we got to put the key on. There we go. I'm gonna stick that on just a little bit, and then I'll let you twist it the rest of the way.
Okay, let's try it now. Hold on.
I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't have to. This is the only one I'm not sure.
Oh, wonderful.
You happy? I think that it's just a little bit soggy. Let's not touch it, okay? Let it spin around. Yeah.
But when I touch it, it helps.
Oh, you think it helps? Okay. So, should we say thank you?
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you for fixing this.
Yeah, happy to help.
That was the Philly Fixers Guild, founded by Holly Logan and Ben Davis, at their monthly repair fair. You can find out more about upcoming repair fairs and their other resources on their website, phillyfixersguild.org.
While repair is in many ways a legacy craft and industry, it's being reinvented for the modern era, like so many other circular practices. Today's repair economy isn't just cobblers and tailors, it's entrepreneurs, designers, and technologists building new models that make repair accessible, stylish, and part of everyday life again.
One of those innovators is Emily Watts, founder of Cobbler. She's part of a new way of repair leaders blending craftsmanship with modern convenience, showing that repair isn't a relic of the past, but a future-forward industry with the potential to create jobs, reduce waste, and reconnect people with the things they own.
So I'm Emily Watts, the CEO and founder of Cobbler. So Cobbler is a digital infrastructure that is powering the repair economy. So we enable local repair artisans, local repair providers across the US and Canada with software basically to run their business more efficiently, because there's no software out there specifically built for repair businesses. And then we also enable brands to basically have a digitized repair program so that's easy for their customers to do repair. And then we connect the two. So if brands want to have a repair program, we basically give them access to our nationwide network of repair providers. If they have an in-house team, we also can power that. So like Red Wing has an in-house repair team. A lot of heritage brands do. And in many cases, they're run on pen and paper. I've repaired things my whole life and shop secondhand in a time where you can do, drop off and pick up for laundry, or just so many, restaurants are running on Toast and there's so much more, it's just a better digitized customer experience. It was just crazy to me that that had not happened in repair, and it was really frustrating. You go, one, it's hard to find someone, and then once you do, it's kind of this black box. So you go in, the pricing isn't transparent, you get a paper ticket, you get a kind of general time frame of when you're supposed to get it back, which usually doesn't happen. And so it's just not a great experience. And I really wanted to make repair as easy as shopping online or going to a, place to buy clothing, right? And the whole goal there is if we can make repair easy and accessible and a delightful experience, it will become mainstream again, right? Because if something's not easy and accessible and a great experience, people don't want to do it. And so I started my own mail-in repair business with a cobbler up in Boston. It was an amazing experience because it gave me like firsthand understanding of what do customers want, what do they know about repair, brands, like what are their expectations, and then just the day-to-day of like what it's like to run a repair business. And from that, that's kind of where Cobbler was born, which is like, okay, this entire industry from like the cobblers all the way up and tailors and anyone doing fashion repair, all the way up to the brands offering it, it's all like run on spreadsheets and pen and paper and just manual process, which is not great, right? And so that's where Cobbler was born. So we're really just trying to bring the repair industry online. We're starting with fashion repair because that's where we see the biggest opportunity. But just kind of the way our platform's structured, it really can be applied to all different types of consumer repair. You know, instrument repair or like small electronics repair or like sporting goods, that kind of thing. If a brand is offering repair, you go to the repair section on their website and the directions are basically download a PDF, fill it out, email customer service, and we'll email you a prepaid label. And then they send it in and then it's like, that's it. They don't know. They don't know the status. They don't know when they're going to get it back. It's just like, kind of like with a lot of repair shops, it's kind of a black box of information and no transparency. So Cobbler basically digitizes that. So as a customer, you can sign into your account, you can find your past order history and select the item that you want to have repaired from that order history. And then you upload a couple photos, put in kind of like what you think you need done, because I'd say 95% of consumers don't know what they need done. They just know it's broken. And then we basically do an auto assessment and auto quote based on those images. And then they pay, and then they automatically get a prepaid label. They send things in, and then we kind of have like a Domino's pizza tracker of like the status of their shoes and the repair, right? So it's like, thank you for your order shipping, we've received your shoes, we started working on your shoes. We also have the ability for the repair team to add before and after images so the customer can see kind of like, you know, the progress. And then when it's done, they get an alert via email and SMS, and then it's automatically sent back. So it's just like, it's not like that whole process isn't like deep tech, but it's just flipping the model and making it transparent and a good experience, basically. I was actually just talking to someone yesterday about this Colombian footwear brand where it's not repair related, but it's made to order, and it takes up to 6 months sometimes. And so to keep you engaged as a customer, they will kind of give you updates of like, we've cut the leather, and like this is whoever their name is, and they're the person that's building your shoe. So just to like create that connection to the process, I think customers like, or if they haven't done it, will like, to really understand like what's going into it and just know like when they're going to get their thing back. I've been talking to a lot of investors. When people think of circular economy, they think, oh, sustainability, oh, no money. And really, it's like, I view it as like the next generation of our economy, right? Like whatever, 3.0 commerce, or 4.0, I don't know, like the various point ohs, but I view it as the future, and there's money to be made while also making things more sustainable and more circular. So yeah, I think just kind of like the automation and efficiency gains are really important. There's a lot of like software platforms out there they're just software platforms. They're not like connecting or enabling like the actual like real life people who are doing work. And I think that's the disconnect. When you think of like circularity, it's like resale, rental, repair, recycling. everyone's focused on rental and resale, and everyone's been obsessed with recycling for a very long time. But repair has kind of been like the forgotten child, and I want to change that. We're kind of trying to more focus on the kind of B2B to C side, but we still do have a direct-to-consumer. So that's cobblershop.com. And so you can just go on, submit your request, photos, and we'll give you a quote. And once you pay, we send you a prepaid label, and then we distribute to a cobbler that's like nearby, and also we know can do the work. So if it's like specialty handbags or requires a certain level of detail, it might go to one guy who's a little further away versus someone close by. One thing that we are building out is the ability to kind of that digital to in-person connection too, right? So you could also drop it off because that's obviously more sustainable. But we have to build out our network to get to that point. So we're nationwide. We have a bunch of shops in Philly, obviously, because I'm here and I just like harass them all. I'm just like, hello, it's me again. So Benjamin's on the row in like jewelry row. Really great. Amy's amazing, very talented. And then we got Pilgrim Shoe Repair in Drexel Hill and Byram's Shoe Repair out in Malvern. Circularity is local. And we did think about kind of these centralized models, but that is kind of defeats the purpose and makes things decidedly less sustainable. If you're shipping stuff across the country into a centralized warehouse, you're not reaping the reward of like lower emissions, and you're not benefiting a local economy either. Maybe one, but not nationwide. Everyone thinks shoe repair shops are dying, and like any small business, that's gonna happen. But what we hear is that they're busier than ever, and they're getting a lot of young people for the first time. So like someone who went to the Goodwill and found a pair of shoes and took them to Amy or another cobbler, like, hey, I just found these, like, they're kind of beat up, like, what do I do? So it's like their first interaction with repair, which is really promising. And it's kind of like an exciting signal in terms of like the future for repair. It's really interesting. Like, yes, there's a lot of people sending in like luxury goods, but a lot of people are like, you know what? I bought these like Talbot shoes or Zara heels like 5 years ago, and they fit me, they go with everything in my wardrobe, or I have a memory. Like, people invest in things that they have a connection to, regardless of kind of like the quality. The rise of disposability and just kind of this consumption culture, it's kind of made people move away from repair because they just want to buy, and it's kind of gotten us to where we are now, because fashion is like one of the top 10 polluters in the world. That's kind of been the culture for the past few decades. But we're at this really interesting point of change and a lot of it's being driven by consumers and kind of like millennials and Gen Z, where they see through like the marketing of brands. They know that they're being kind of like manipulated, right? And they know the impact of their purchasing behavior. And I think a lot of consumers don't want to look like everyone else anymore, right? Like, they don't want to be in a Barber jacket with like the same rubber wellies and whatever it is, like copy paste. They want to look unique. And so that's where secondhand shopping is like, there's a lot of delight there because you can find something that no one else has. Amidst the racks, or let's say you're on the Real, amidst like all your scrolling, you find something that's like a steal and amazing, right? And so that's why, and then you've seen like resale, like shopping secondhand is now, you can do it online, or it's just a better experience generally. And that's caused this, huge increase in resale shopping. And resale doesn't it can't scale, it can't work without repair, because you're buying something that's used, inevitably you're gonna have to repair it. So that's created this like shift that we're seeing towards repair, but then also like buying quality and buying heritage brands. I think that's been a really interesting like shift in consumer behavior of like, I'm gonna buy something that's quality and I'm gonna like take care of it. The hardest thing is the price. And so, you know, I think that's where secondhand is great, right? It's like you actually got like a pretty good deal on something secondhand, like just invest $50 or $100 and you can, you know, bring it to almost like brand new quality. But there's like an education component too, right? Because like a lot of people don't know it exists. Cost of something brand new, especially from like a fast fashion brand, is going to be cheaper than repairing something, at least up front. But then I always like to think of cost per wear. Like if you buy something that's from Shine, let's say it's $50, you wear it once, you throw it away. Or you can buy a really high quality cashmere sweater from the Real for $50. Maybe there's a little hole, but it's like really good quality. You get it darned, you get that whole patch for $50 to $75. And then you wear it like 100 times. So it's like 50 divided by 100 or 50 divided by 2, right? So the cost per wear is actually ends up being cheaper for something that's like quality and you repair it, but you wear it more. So that's like where the education component, right? But there's math involved, so that's hard. My favorite thing to do on the Real is reverse sort by. So I go to the like shoes section and I sort by cheapest to most expensive. And there's some amazing shoes. And I feel like there's an example here somewhere, but I got these like amazing Tod's, which is like an Italian leather or shoe brand, and they do handbags too. Tod's leather boots that I think normally would probably resale like $1,000 or sell like full MSRP new would be like $1,000. I got them for $25. And they just needed like, you know, you could tell they're old because like the rubber sole was kind of, it was like the glue had started to disintegrate. But that's like, you take it to your cobbler, that's like a $25 repair, you know? And they're like beautiful leather boots that you can wear forever. So that's my hack. So the pandemic really ravaged the industry. And a lot of that was because there was no tech, right? So a shop, things were shut down, but the shop owner might still be going to work, but he has no way to contact his customer base because it's not digitized, right? So that was kind of the recurring theme from the pandemic was like, we were open, but we didn't know how to like reach out to our customers because it was all like, there was no record of it. And so a lot of them, you know, closed because of that. But the interesting phenomenon we're seeing, so of all the shops that are using Cobbler software, about a fifth of them are net new businesses. So we have one guy who just opened in Montreal. He was in the restaurant industry before, and he decided to go into cobbling. He did an apprenticeship with a local business, and then when he went out to, you know, start his own shop, that business recommended us. And we're seeing that happen across the US too, not just Canada. You know, they call this next generation like the tool belt generation. And I think, you know, people are realizing that like going and working for a big corporation actually isn't like the dream, especially nowadays with like all the layoffs and like it's very clear big companies don't really care about you, and it's no longer a place where you can have like a very stable long career, right? And so it's like the next generation sees that, right? And they're like, well, maybe I'll be an entrepreneur or go into the trades. If you look at the US and Canada, there's probably a little less than 100,000 repair shops So, you know, my goal in 5 years is to be in like 3,000. I'd like for it to be more. And yeah, I mean, my goal is just one, like have as many brands as possible with our digital repair experience, but then also I would love to add on like a D2C capability where like, it's kind of like a more modern Yelp where you could just go in and be like, this is what I want repaired, this is my zip code, upload some photos, and it will auto match you with like the best shop possible. So that's another dream for like the next 5 years. So, you know, legislation always helps. Like I think there's a few ways you can do it. I'm not sure which one is more successful and better. But like France, they will give individual citizens like money if they repair something. So it's like kind of a subsidy. And then like I think it's SB 707 in California. It's like basically requiring brands over a certain amount of revenue a year to have like an end of life strategy. So then it's more putting like the onus on the brand to like get their shit together, putting the onus on the brand to be more sustainable and think through kind of like, okay, you're selling all this stuff, but then like, where is it going? And repair is part of it. I mean, like the ideal world is like, and this is like not capitalism, but it's like limiting production, right? But, you know, obviously that's not going to happen because, you know, shareholders. But yeah, I think maybe it's a dual strategy. I don't know. I'm not like a poli-sci legislative person, but I think if you incentivize consumers and then also brands, then, you know, that kind of like two-pronged strategy is probably the most effective. Every year in the US, 300 million pairs of shoes are sent to landfill. You know, and a lot of that is like sneakers and things that just will take a really long time to break down, and just all of the kind of like chemical leaching and microplastics. It's horrible for the environment. And so repair obviously prevents or limits that pollution. Since April, our network has repaired over 10,000 shoes and processed over $1 million of repairs. The exciting thing about Cobbler is like we have access, you know, as a dashboard, like the anonymized data across all these businesses, so we can see the turnaround time and like their average order value and the number of repairs that are happening. And it's just like, it's, you know, people think that repair businesses are like small and not successful, and it's really cool to see these like really strong businesses that are also growing, right? It's not just like steady state, $100,000 a year. It's like hundreds of thousands growing year over year. So yeah, that's the exciting thing about SMB, right? Is that you have that connection with a small business and like that business owner and seeing them grow.
How did you get involved with Circular Philadelphia?
Sam. So I was at a circularity conference in 2024, and she just sat down next to me at like lunch, and we started talking. It's nice to have another female founder also based in Philadelphia, just to like, you know, connect with, vent, whatever it is. Because, you know, it's like hard when you're going against the current. And so when you have other people going against the current with you, it's motivating. Because we're rebels, you know, we're like trying to change things. And like, I think if we were in Europe, it would probably be easier, but we're kind of I'd say in the US, or maybe where Europe was like 5-10 years ago. So I just think it's the future. Repairing your things, holding on to them buying quality, repairing your things, holding on to them for longer. And also like learning a little on how to take care of your things too. Because there's some things that you don't need to take to like cleaning and conditioning your shoes. Like you could do that at home if you want. Or bring it to your local cobbler. I mean, I repair all of my things, obviously. And it's easy for me because I have access. But the whole goal is to like make it just really easy and delightful. Repair your stuff. And this is my like public service announcement. When you buy a new pair of shoes, immediately and they have like a leather sole, immediately put a protective sole on the bottom. And if you do that, your shoes will last forever. And then you won't need a resole. It's like an affordable way to keep your shoes in rotation for a long time. Because when you don't have the rubber sole and you just have the leather sole, that's when you get like holes in the bottom of your soles. And then, a protective sole is like $50 to $75. But once you have a hole in your sole, it's like $125 repair because you have to rip off the whole sole and put a new leather sole on. So, PSA.
That was Emily Watts, co-founder of Cobbler, an online operating system for repair.
I loved her tips for extending the life of your leather-soled shoes.
Yeah, I have some shoes in my closet. I'll definitely need to try that on.
Thanks for joining us for episode 9 of the Circle Up podcast. And thanks to Holly Logan and the Fixers at the Philly Fixers Guild. You can visit a repair fair the second Thursday of the month between 6 and 8 p.m. at the Wheelhouse Building on North American Street. Find out more about their fairs, other repair resources, and even volunteer to be a fixer on their website, phillyfixersguild.org.
And thanks to Emily Watts, who is bringing repair into the digital age with Cobbler. You can start your own repair at cobblershop.com. That's COBLR shop.com.
Tune in to our next episode to dive further into repair and refurbishment in the world of electronics and find out just what to do with that old computer monitor that's languishing in the back of your closet.
The Circle Up podcast is presented by Circular Philadelphia. It was produced by Meredith Nutting at Cool Goon Productions. This podcast was supported by a grant from Penn Treaty Special Services District. If you want to learn more about the circular economy, go to circularphiladelphia.org.